welcome you to Board of Commissioners, Town of Redington Shores regular meeting. It's Wednesday, February 10th, 2016 at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
That's over there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mary, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Henderson? Here. Commissioner Capper?
Here.
Commissioner Branch? Vice Mayor Holmes?
Here.
Mayor Adams?
Here.
Attorney Denhart?
Here. Our first order of business is the approval of the minutes for the regular meeting January 13th, 2016, the workshop meeting January 27th, 2016.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes for the regular meeting January 13th, 2016, and the workshop meeting January 27th, 2016.
Second. Motion and a second, and discussion. Hearing none, Mary, call the roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Capper?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Holmes?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. Next, ratification of bills for January, February 2016.
Make a motion to ratify the bills as presented for January and February 2016.
Second.
Motion and a second, and discussion. Hearing none, Mary, call the roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Capper?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Holmes?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. Commission reports. I'll start with, it's cold outside. It's going to get colder. I guess you knew that. But anyway, what I have talked about a little bit is we are moving forward with what we're going to do as far as Gulf Boulevard beautification goes. The three towns of North Redington and Redington Beach and us are going together to do the project kind of at one time. That makes it a little bit cheaper, and plus we'll get all of it done, not mess up Gulf Boulevard too bad while it's being beautified. And we all go through that many times during the last 20 years, I guess. Other than that, that's about all I have. The project will probably, I will say the project will probably not get started until, I'd say a couple of years, year and a half before it really gets started, by the time all the permits and everything are pulled in. All right, that's all I have. The next, Vice Mayor Holmes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The fire services and EMS report, there was one non-emergency fire response for the time period with a response time of 8 minutes and 9 seconds. There were 3 emergency fire responses during the time period with an average response time of 8 minutes and 6 seconds. For emergency medical service, there were 13 non-emergency EMS calls with a response time during the period with an average response time of 5 minutes and 34 seconds. And there were 18 emergency EMS calls with an average response time of 5 minutes even. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor Holmes. Commissioner Capper.
As far as building permits for the month of January, we had 68 permits. We had 1 new duplex townhome, collected LDU funds of $9,203. Total permit fees were, somebody didn't mark them here, about $27,422. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Capper. Commissioner Branch is ill tonight, and she usually gives a police report, so I'm going to call on Chief Hughes, who's here tonight for the police report. Chief.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just go ahead and let the report stand on itself and entertain any questions. The only 2 things I want to bring up that I've added 2 line items, field interview reports and supplements. On the criminal reports, even though we do take the original report, there may be 2 or 3 different supplements during the investigation that officers do that goes with that single report. I just thought that it was noteworthy, statistically wise to put that in there. Other than that, I'll entertain any questions.
Yeah, the reason that's put in there, that still keeps the report open, and does it not?
Yeah, it keeps it open or it closes it.
Okay. Anybody else got a question? Not, thanks, Chief.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you.
Commissioner Henderson.
I am in the process of replacing some of the equipment at Spitzer Park. We are in dire need of some new swings and some of the toddler equipment, which is in sad shape. I've also had some interest in a game called pickleball. Several emails actually about this, and I have to do a little bit of research, but apparently you paint some blue lines on the existing tennis court lines, which is not supposed to impede the tennis at all, but it allows you to also play pickleball, so I'm investigating that. So that should be interesting. I wanted to also have you mark your calendars for the garage sale. It'll be March 18th and 19th, and it's a great way to do some spring cleaning. And speaking of spring cleaning, the townwide cleanup is March 26th, and there'll be dumpsters located at Constitution Park and Long Point Drive. Is that right, Mary?
Correct.
And I wanted to remind you that we will be closed on Monday, February 15th in observation of President's Day, and wish all of you a very happy Valentine's Day, which is Sunday. Don't forget your sweethearts. That's it.
Thank you.
Hint, hint, Chris.
Was that meant for somebody?
Well, no, just saying.
For the girls in the office.
Just saying.
Yeah, I guess so. On to old business, second reading and advertised public hearing, ordinance 15-03 LDR amendments. Attorney Denhart.
Ordinance number 15-03, an ordinance of the town of Reddington Shores, Florida pertaining land development regulations, amending section 90-107 of the code of the town of Reddington Shores, Florida pertaining to the Gulf Boulevard Overlay District, amending section 90-108 of the code of the town of Reddington Shores, Florida pertaining to parking regulations and requirements, amending part 7, article 32 of the code of the town of Reddington Shores, Florida pertaining to concurrency management, deleting in its entirety Part 7, Article 33, pertaining to the proportionate fair share program, providing for the inclusion of such amended ordinance in the Code of the Town of Reddington Shores, Florida, providing for an effective date.
I make a motion that we adopt ordinance number 15-03 LDR amendments on second reading.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, Mary call the roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Capper?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Holmes?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. Next is approval for moving ahead with CPWG, Steve Tart's company with the Gulf Boulevard beautification.
You need a motion on that?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve GPWG Steve Tart for Gulf Boulevard beautification.
Second.
Motion and a second. I think you probably need to add for my signature as we move ahead with
Yours.
the
Okay.
authorize I sign it. Okay. Motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, Mary call the roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Capper?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Holmes?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. New business, ratify emergency repairs dock at Del Bello Park.
Okay, about, I think it was around 3 weeks ago, I went out and inspected the dock, the fishing dock down at Del Bello Park. It's in poor shape, especially the railings and things like that. So I asked Joe, the inspector, to close it down. We did that. We went out and got 2 bids. One was with Seawall Services for $2,200. And one was with Jeff Neal for $2,400. So we chose Seawall Services, and I'd like to ratify that.
That's a motion to ratify?
That's a motion to ratify.
Right.
Make a motion that we approve the expenditure of $2,200 Seawall Services Incorporated for repairs to
Thank you.
Second?
Motion and a second, any
Del
discussion?
Bello Park.
Any discussion? Hearing none, Mary call the roll.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Capper?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Holmes?
Yes.
Mayor Adams?
Yes. Fire chief is here tonight. Would you like to say anything tonight?
She just came to say hi.
You just gonna say hi?
To be here in case there were any questions.
Okay, any,
Thank you.
all right. All right, any public comments? Yes, sir.
Mayor Adams, Vice Mayor Holmes, Commissioners.
I need you to state your name and address.
I will do so. So my name is Chris Henderson. I live at 17720 Lee Avenue, at least for the time being, and serve on the Financial Advisory Committee for the town of Reading and Shores. And so at the last two sessions of the Financial Advisory Committee, the topic was brought up and requested that we have somebody present on behalf of the committee, just a brief update. And since we just crossed over the first quarter mark, which is the first 3 months of our fiscal year, I thought I'd give a very, very brief update. Take no more than a couple minutes, just to, in the spirit of transparency of government, both for revenues and expenses, I thought I'd just give a real quick overview of our performance, at least for the first 3 months through December 31st. And so, cover quickly just the general fund collection. So, as you folks may know, we have the primary source of revenue for the town is ad valorem taxes. And our budget for this year is about $1.1 million in ad valorem collections. And so for the first 3 months, we've collected right around $824,000, which is ahead of our plan and ahead of last year. So it's a good report as it relates to collections for ad valorems. The other two significant items we talk about, building permit fees. We've got about $50,000 in year-to-date collections, again, ahead of our budget, almost double what our budget is so far this year. So another bit of good news. And then garbage fee revenues is the other significant item, and we're in line with our budget, about $74,000 in collections. So overall, our revenues for the first 3 months of this fiscal year, about $1.26 million, which is about 15% ahead of our prior year's collections in the general fund, and it's ahead of this year's budget, which is a positive. On the expenses, the primary components of our general fund expense are town employee salaries, benefits, police and fire department costs, as well as trash and insurance costs. And so all of those expenses are in line with budget or better than budget. So it's a favorable report as it relates to expenses out of the general fund. The two remaining funds for the town of Reading and Shores, we have the Capital Improvement Fund, and that one is primarily funded through a 1-cent sales tax collection. And so we're slightly behind budget on that one, but we still have 9 months to make ourselves whole there. The good news is LDU and transportation impact fees, as Commissioner Capper highlighted, we've had a very good year so far in building. And so we're about 4 times our first quarter budget in collections there, about $26,000 for those two items. On the Capital Improvement Fund expenditures, primary disbursement there is for our term note. So as you folks may recall, we had a 20-year term loan, $5 million. We're halfway through that. And so all of those expenses for both that as well as Parks and Recreation are either in line or below our budgeted expenses. And then sewer funds, which is an area that we've had a lot of conversation about. I know that I've invested considerable time, as well as the Financial Advisory Committee has invested time in reviewing both our revenues and costs for that as part of some of the analysis that began last year. So for the first 3 months, we've collected about $208,000 in resident and business collections for sewer fund. So we're about, I guess, about $20,000 ahead of our revenue budget for the first 3 months. And then our sewer fund expenses, what we pay to the county for treatment, total about $123,000. So slightly higher than budget, but it's considerably lower than what we were spending at this point last year for the first 3 months of the fiscal year. So again, the highlights are overall we're ahead of our plan, ahead of our budget for the town for collections. Our expenses are either in line or below, and our plan would be is that on a quarterly basis we'll provide kind of a similar update. I do a monthly update for the commissioners and for the Financial Advisory Committee, and to the extent that anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer those. Otherwise, you'll see me back here again in 3 months.
Just keep your report about the same.
All positive.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Thank you.
That's true. All right, no questions. The next workshop meeting is Wednesday, February 24th, 2016 at 7 p.m. The next regular meeting is the day after election, Wednesday, March the 9th, 2016 at 7 p.m. With that, this meeting is adjourned.
We get sworn in on this?
I did want to, if you wanted
Hold
to
on.
introduce our
Oh, I'm sorry.
new deputy clerk.
I'm sorry.
We're back
She
on.
was sitting there, then she moved out of my line of sight.
Well, I'm sorry, I did that.
We've hired a new deputy clerk, Tracy. I think we've introduced her at the last meeting, so that for those of you that weren't here, meet Tracy.
Tracy Kane.
Tracy King. All right. With that, this meeting is adjourned. All right.